Jean-François, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I thought we would start with this poll that came out yesterday showing a variety of different things, including continued support for the PQ, continued falling support for, I guess, the CAQ and the Liberals as well. But the part I want to ask you about is the part about Denis Coderre, because that's part of this poll, and it shows that him being in the race, should he decide, in fact, to be in the race as leader of the Liberal Party, actually bumps up the Liberal numbers provincially. And I wonder what you thought about this.
Well, I'm not surprised at all by that. In fact, on a radio show, I suggested that if there was not a poll forthcoming, that Coderre should have his own poll, because I was sure that he would get a bump, and that would be good for him. But he didn't have to pay for it. Lisée did it. And so when you look at, when you break it down, you see that amongst francophones, with Coderre, the Liberal Party goes from 7 to 13. Amongst Anglos and Allos, it goes from 47 to 50. In the Montreal area, it goes from 23 to 29. So this is significant for the guy who hasn't started to campaign. Well, he was very visible in the French press, maybe in the Anglo press as well, in the weeks prior to this poll. The thing that the weakness here is that he said he wanted to run as an MNA in Quebec City, but that's where the bump is not so significant. The Liberal Party goes from 6 to 10 with him. The other thing that is very interesting is how poorly Marois Risky fares. She fares weakly across the board, and even amongst Anglos, she actually brings the party down 3 points amongst Anglos and Allos. That's interesting. The only place where she's really popular is amongst PQ electors. 27% of them prefer her to anyone other than her to lead the Liberal Party. Maybe, I don't know why. She seems to be a force for change, and so the PQ voters are attuned with that, but not a great day for Marois.
So I want to ask you something. First of all, with respect to Denis Coderre, was there reaction from him after these numbers? I'm reading something in French. Maybe you could explain what this means in English, because I'm not sure what it means in French. He said, comme je dis souvent, la cuisine envoie un message au salon. What does that mean?
That's a riddle inside a mystery, inside a box. We don't know. We discussed that on CBC radio, French TV earlier, and the best possibility was that, when in the kitchen, you're really working on the pasta and on the real things, and you're not a spectator. So the real workers are sending a signal. Reality is sending a signal to spectators. That's what we think it means, but I had never heard this expression before.
Okay.
I'm glad it's not just us.
Yeah,
it's still that doesn't quite compute for me in terms of what that. But I'm glad it was. I mean, is that a colloquial?
Yeah, we're glad you don't get it either. That's what we're trying to say here. Okay.
Reassured somewhat. There.
Never heard of it.
Okay.
Never heard of it. Maybe it's Haitian. He speaks very good Creole.
We'll ask somebody. Maybe somebody knows what it means. But anyway, did he react today from what you saw beyond that? Or did he say anything? Does he take this as a sign that he should in fact run?
Oh, I'm convinced that he has decided to run.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
There's no doubt in my mind. So everything else is just window dressing. I guess it was a good communications move for him just to issue this communique, which says that he is glad to see this. So there's a lot of work to be done, and let the poll speak for him today. He doesn't need to be up front. And in 2 days, they say, okay, now he's out. He's going to comment on the poll. So that's another day where he's in the
news, right?
Yeah, okay. I was saying earlier, he's made the Liberal Party relevant again. Would you have expected the internal support to be higher, for the Liberals to be more in support of Coderre?
The Liberals, the Liberal electorate, he expands the Liberal electorate. And I always thought that Coderre would bring back former Francophone Liberal voters. And actually, he's bringing back some former Anglo Liberal voters. So that's the first step. And now he's in a statistical heat with the CAQ. The CAQ is going down. The Liberals would be going up with him. And he's gaining. It's interesting that all of his strength he's gaining from the CAQ and a little from the Conservative Party. He's not taking any votes out of the Parti québécois.
I want to talk again, this poll, which shows so much. This other part that shows of the people who support the PQ, 24% do not support separation. And obviously that's the number one, mark on the top of the agenda there. What do you make of that? And how do you get around that if you're someone like PSPP?
Well, you hope for change. But, it's clear that because the new PQists in the PQ electorate are former nationalist CAQ voters. So as these CAQ voters move to the Parti québécois, the proportion of PQists who wouldn't vote yes at the referendum today is expanding. Used to be around 17-20%. Now it's 24%. But this is completely attributable to the CAQists that are coming in. And what Plamondon said today is that, well, now I have their ear. Now they're in my house. Now I can try and bring them to independence. It's a better position. But what's interesting is that they've asked, of course, the PQ electorate if they would vote yes today, but they asked other electorates as well. And there are still 32% of CAQ voters who would vote yes. So there's more for Plamondon to bring from the CAQ to the PQ just there.
We were. What were you going to say, Aaron?
No, I still don't get it. I mean, I know you have to, as the leader of the party, say, well, this is a chance for me to talk to them and explain to them why they should consider that, separation is good for Quebec. But that's a fairly significant number, almost like it's a quarter of the voters are like, you know what, we like the guy, we like the ideas. We're just not on
right.
separation.
But he is who he says he is. And I think that I really think we're turning a page here where people don't want to just be sold a bill of goods, right? They want to know that what you see is what you get. And that's what we're seeing with Denis Coderre, like I was saying this earlier, and Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon. And I think the same could be said about Pierre Poilievre. Do you see what I'm saying here, Jean-François Lisée? Mm-hmm. That at least you know what you're getting.
Well, yes. And in contrast, with the CAQ, who had an enormous amount of goodwill from the Quebec population at first, and they thought that Legault was the guy, the straight shooter who's telling it as he feels it, very authentic. And in the last year or so, Legault self-destroyed the credibility of his word. Even this week with his turnaround on Meta on Facebook, mm-hmm. and so they're looking. So they have their heart was broken by Legault, and they're looking for straight shooters. Plamondon is one. Coderre could be one.
It's the rebound relationship. That's what happens.
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but the whole Denis Coderre thing to me, and I understand a lot of this to me, Jean-François, is just plain old facial, like recognition. We know who he is. People live in the province, know who he is, even when he was a federal minister. And I think that buys him that sort of popularity now. But when you get to it, I think someone said earlier today that I heard, if it's a different version of Denis Coderre, then maybe that's a good thing. But to me, there's only one version of Denis Coderre. And once you kind of get into the weeds on this one, you're going to find out it's the same person we had in Montreal, who lost 2 municipal elections. So I don't see how this down the road makes a whole lot of a difference. It looks good now. And yes, you're saying you're pretty sure he's going to run. But I think the longer he's in this race, the less people are going to say, I think he's the guy I want to have running the party. I don't know.
But we're talking about the Liberals again. We haven't even been talking about
True. Don't know.
But you see, in his defense, he lost the election, but he still got 40% of the vote in a almost exactly two-person race. So 40% of the vote is a lot of votes. And it's clear that last time around in Montreal, he tried to say that he changed. And we all saw that he only changed for the first 20 minutes, and then he reverted back to type. But now he's not saying he changed. He's saying he evolved. But we know that he's saying, listen, this is me. It's take it or leave it. And I think there are takers. There are takers. There may not enough to bring him to the premiership, but there are takers to give some new life to the Liberal Party.
We shall see what we shall see. Jean-François, merci beaucoup.
Merci à vous.